Brittany has filed for divorce from Jax, and I never thought we'd see this day. I was definitely worried that she would go back, but I'm so relieved. I'm so happy for her. We've been watching Vanderpump Rules season 6 here on this podcast, and Jax just there's not one single redeeming quality. And then his dad dies between the season actually wrapping and the reunion, and Brittany and Jax are back together. And I know Brittany tries to tell us that he was just begging and he was just pleading for me to forgive him and whatever. Then she's with him and he's terrible to her. Like the whole season leading up to the wedding, he's crazy. And then she marries him and you're like, okay, this is kind of crazy that you're doing this. And so it took her a long time to believe what we've been telling her, we as a society, which is no, there is no special Jax that only you know. And a lot of people speculated that she just stayed with Jax to stay on Vanderpump Rules. I would wager to say, though, that she could have left Jax and absolutely remained a cast member because everyone became friends with her and they would have been like, we'd rather have her than Jax. I do think that she confused herself with what she thought was love, because she says in this season too, I just love him. I just love him. I just love him. And then you marry him and then you have a kid with the, it was a long road to learn a lesson. And now you have a kid with him. So he's in your life forever. But let's fucking see how this season of The Valley goes. I hate to say it, but man, we get a front row seat to this whole thing. Sort of. But it's rare that you get this. It's rare that you get like cameras happen to be up when this happens. Like, ooh. So, okay, I'm going to enjoy it. For this week's recap, I'm going to be going through episodes 12, 13, and 14. 12, 13, and 14. They're not necessarily all filler episodes, but kind of not filler, but I just really want to get to the Mexico trip. The Mexico trip is when shit gets crazy, and I need to see it. So, let's do it. Okay, the crew is still in Big Bear, but back in LA. Stassi stops by SUR to ask Lisa to do her podcast, and she asks Lisa a question, which I think of this all the time. She says, do you ever just sit around and watch TV? And Lisa says, no. And I believe her because I feel like she's always got a meeting or a place to be, and that baffles me. Because sitting around watching TV is my job, basically, at this point. And so for her, I bet Lisa would hate that. I bet she would hate when she's had to recover. Remember when she had that awful horseback riding injury? She probably had to just relax and stay in bed and watch TV. It was probably making her crazy because she probably hates doing nothing. Oh my God, I love doing nothing. I think of this all the time. When I'm sitting around watching TV, not for the pod, but just for my own pleasure, because I love doing that, I think of Lisa Vanderpump. Like, wow, she never does this. Ever. Not ever. That's just crazy. Okay, back up in Big Bear. Jax, I hadn't broken down this entire scene before. I just kind of ignore this scene when I'm doing my rewatches because I'm like, whatever, Jax is annoying. But Jax is so stupid. Okay? This scene starts like this. So James and Jax are supposed to go paddleboarding, but Jax needs everyone to know that he's trying to get back in shape and he's this big workout guy. So he comes into the scene going, I tried to go on a run, but the altitude, man, I couldn't handle it. And then he proceeds to just stop on the dock and do an ab circuit, which is a bizarre thing to do. Bizarre, like no towel down, like, and just an abs, like what is happening? So then he asks Rob about, hey, swimming out to the buoy. What's that? Should I do that? And then he's swimming. And the way he asks for the lifeguard is, you can come and help me if you want. You can come and help me. And the guy rightfully is like, are you kidding? Because it seems like he's like, who asks for help like that? And if you're asking for help like that, it's not necessarily an emergency. I feel like you're just, it's nuts. It's more nuts than I remembered, that I've just sort of tuned this scene out. Not one person is concerned. When he comes back into the cabin, he's like, oh my God, almost died. And they're like, okay, no, you didn't. The lifeguard literally is like, are you serious? Because it's so odd. You can come and help me if you want. This boy. Okay, well, later they go out on a boat. This was genuinely just an excuse for Scheana to show off Rob's water skiing skills or water surfing, whatever they're doing. Because everyone gets up and does the water surfing, and only a few people do well. But then Rob gets up and does it. And he's basically like a professional. If there is a professional water surfer, he is that. He's doing flips. So it's like everyone gets to go up and make a fool of themselves. Jax's swim shorts fall off and he has his pink panties showing. And then Rob gets up there and he's like, oh, check me out. And of course, Scheana's just like, he's amazing. Everything he does is amazing. But then later, it's Rob, Tom, and Jax hanging on the boat. And Rob volunteers this. They might have asked, like, how are you and Scheana? But Rob's like, oh, yeah, she's like saying I love you. And, I'm not saying it back. Like, that's a big one. And then he's just cocky as hell. And he says, it's really easy for me to hurt people's feelings. Clearly. What's so sad is that Sheena's friends with Rob now. Rob was on her podcast and she would forgive this guy and let him grovel. Back at the cabin, Rachel talks to, are we calling her Raquel now? I feel like someone said it went back to Raquel, but whatever. Back at the cabin, Rachel talks to Lala, and it's all about how their bond is different, which I guess I didn't realize just how much this relationship was thrown in Rachel's face. I guess I forgot how insecure she was about it. So when Lala tells her that, her and James had sex technically after Rachel got with James, I guess the sting makes a little bit more sense. But then I'm like, do I care? No, I don't. Not anymore. I've stopped having to care about this girl. I don't understand her. She's been doing the weirdest interviews. I didn't even want to talk about her. But she's like, she knows, like, it's not you. James is doing it. And James, well, in another episode, I think it's coming up. James like throws in her face that they did a photo shoot and he was topless, having Lala put champagne on him. He throws it in her face, even though he wants to pretend he doesn't. Like, he does. It's pretty toxic. But okay, after this though, Scheana presents the checklist for checking out of the cabin. Oh my God. So I'm confused because this man rents this place out, right? And oftentimes you have a cleaning service that you use when you do these sorts of Airbnb type of things, especially if it's like someone's coming today. Sheena's like, don't worry, I got this. It's like her wedding. It's like her wedding all over again. Remember when the next day they're all hung over and miserable in the heat? They had to go clean up like the fountain area or some shit. She is actually a terrible host. The more I think about it, she actually is an asshole. She does put you to work. She literally puts you to work. Then, oh my God, the next day they wake up and Scheana says, I love you. And Rob literally goes, I don't know if they dubbed that in, but he didn't say it back from what they showed. Now, if he did say it back and they cut that, then the whole editing thing I'll give her. But it didn't seem like it. And he just had a conversation on camera about how he doesn't say it back. So, but then he sits up and she goes, oh my God, you're so sexy. Then she goes around waking everyone up with the checklist. She has got her pencil and her binder and is in full delusion. She is thinking she is everything. She thinks she is giving something here. And then she says to Rob, she goes, I think we got everything. And this fucking asshole does a walkthrough. When you rent out these things, you should have a cleaning service, sir. And did you even help? You didn't even help? Ugh, God. This guy's a douche. Okay, back in LA, Kristen goes to Scheana's house. Scheana is blasting Good as Gold. Blasting it. Amazing. Scheana and Rob are going to do Divorce Closet. I forgot about this weird business venture. Oh, no wonder this didn't take off, Come on. Divorce Closet. Who doesn't want to go shopping through people's stuff that they have left over from a divorce? I mean, I guess a lot of people are divorced. But it just feels like bad energy. I don't know. Obviously, it didn't go anywhere. But Kristen tells her what Jax told them about Rob not being into her, not saying I love you or whatever. And Scheana goes, he didn't say that. Her eyes are huge. But then Scheana gives the most unhinged. It's like she keeps going with the same tactic for proving that Rob does really like her. And that is sounding crazy and sounding like a stalker. Truly. Like, she's like, I mean, like, Rob and I have a very good relationship. Jax is jealous. She says that we talk about having kids. We're talking about getting married. We're looking at houses together. We've named our first daughter. And the name is Madison Marie Parks Valletta. It's kind of an amazing name, though. I'm actually not kidding. She's like, if he's not at the point where he's as in love as I am, I'm okay with that because I know he loves me. Sorry, that's not funny, Scheana. Okay, it's sad. But then Scheana, I wish Scheana would stay in this place because then she's like, if Jax is going to fuck with my relationship, I'm going to fuck with his. She doesn't stay with this energy. She always backtracks it. She did it with Katie and Stassi and them. I can't remember exactly examples, but she always is like, in her confessional, she'll be like, oh yeah, if they want to do that shit, check me out. Then when they confront her on it, she's like, I actually wasn't even doing that. It's like, just stand in it. Just stand in it. Because it's Jax. We don't care. I am obsessed with my girls, Penny and Tiger. I know I have a lot of pet parents in the audience who are obsessed with their fur babies as well. I'm sure you already know about Chewy, but I'm going to gush a little bit about Chewy. I have been using Chewy since I first got my girls. It's so convenient. It's all online. It ships in like 1 to 3 days, and they have everything you could think of. Food, treats, litter. Oh, and it's not just cats and dogs. They also help you out with fish, reptiles, birds, and more. But the price point is way better than other pet stores, not to name any. Chewy also has an auto ship feature, which I have all of their food on. It makes my life so much easier, so I never forget. Now, Chewy offers pet prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth vet visits, and they're even rolling out vet clinics across the country. I love them. Their customer service is top-notch. They were very sweet when I first reached out to them years ago. They asked what my cats' names were, and they called them by their names. And then the next time I had to talk to customer service, like months later, they asked, how are Penny and Tiger? It must have been in the system or something, but like, I died. Chewy has everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy. And right now, you can save $20 on your first order and get free shipping by going to chewy.com/shespeaks. That's chewy.com/shespeaks to save $20 on your first order with free shipping. Chewy.com/shespeaks. Minimum purchase required. New customers only. Terms and condition apply. See site for complete details. You guys know I got a complicated relationship with food, but I do really love Hungry Root. It's oddly comforting. It's not like your typical subscription meal service. You get anything you could possibly need on there. You get groceries, fresh produce, even supplements. But what I love about it is I've been introduced to brands I didn't know about. So you fill out a quiz when you first sign up, and it gets to know what your goals are and what you like to eat, etc. And they do craft a cart for you every week. I personally like like to clear the cart and just go shopping for snacks. Because, I don't like to cook. But this time I went outside of my normal box and looked at meals that could be done in 5 minutes or less. And I came across the turkey cranberry brie sandwiches. Oh, they just send you what you need to make the sandwiches. So I had a meal all week. You guys, they send these little brie medallions that you melt on the bread, some spinach, some turkey, a little cranberry. Oh my God, I'm getting them again. But I also get a ton of snacks, brands I genuinely can't find anywhere else that are just the best. Healthy desserts, but they got everything. They got meat and seafood. They have smoothies, kids snacks and meals, and so much more. Right now, Hungry Root is offering She's Speaking with Emily Hanks listeners 40% off your first delivery and free veggies for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/shespeaks to get 40% off your first delivery and get your free veggies. That's hungryroot.com/shespeaks. Don't forget to use our link so they know we sent you. Okay, episode 13. Let's end 12. Now, you see, Jax was not invited to go to Vegas with the Toms and Lisa and Ken for whatever. So Jax tacking on to the trip is not what Lisa wants. So Lisa will be sure to make sure Jax knows he's not in her good graces yet. Okay, and we'll get to that. Before then, Scheana goes to the studio with Lala. And you see, Lala has hired a whole music team, which is it's sad to hear her talk about how she did this with all of her own money because she doesn't want Rand coming for it later if anything were to happen. And it's like, oh, that's sad because then you had your podcast. And I think she has to give him a bunch of money from the podcast even still. I feel like there's something like that going on. So that sucks. And just shows she's not as smart as she thinks she is. That's right. I'm going to talk some shit about Lala. I don't care. But Scheana's also very offended because Lala gets a little confused and says that Shay used to record here. And she's like, I used to record here. I did. So sorry about that. And we'll get into what she sounded like in the booth later. But then they finish whatever, and Scheana's telling Lala what Jax had said about Rob. And then again, she goes into spiral mode. Again, this is me proving that that Jax is wrong by sounding insane. And she's like, okay, so am I maybe more in love? Well, okay, whatever. Lala attempts. She does. She tries to reason with Scheana and tries to bring her back down a little bit. And it's like, honestly, even if he did say that, it's not really that big a deal. And Scheana, who thinks they're on the same page, is like, right? And that's what I told Kristen yesterday. Like, okay, well, we're talking about getting married. We named our first daughter yesterday. And Lala's like, no, wait, hold on. Again, you're not understanding. It's seriously not a big deal. You just got divorced. It's not a big deal. And Sheena's nodding along like she thinks they're on the same page and they're saying the same thing, but they're so not. But she's just like, I know. As Lala's saying, it's okay if he did say he's not ready to say it, it's okay. I know. Because we are picking out houses together and we're naming our children. Okay. It is like you are sucked into a vortex and there is no getting out. It is intense when Sheena's got you in her grasp. Okay? For real. So the Vegas trip, Lisa's first thing that she can do to show Jax that he's not in her good graces is not upgrade his room and make sure that he has to wait in line. The Toms can get the VIP treatment. Jax has to go check in over there in that long ass line. Okay, that's the start. And the rooms, the suites, okay. I can't even fathom what these cost. And Jax is just in a normal hotel room. But the big thing on this trip is that Brittany thinks she could be pregnant because she's been throwing up, which is literally the same thing we saw this past season. She has had these issues and she's been with Jax the whole time. She's had these issues for years. But she's like, I think I could be pregnant. Go pee on it. And they're like, so are you on the pill? No. Do you use condoms? No. So do you? And then Katie's confessional, I think I like the way she puts this. She goes, especially given the climate of her relationship, I don't think she should be rolling the dice. The climate, especially given the climate of her relationship, we shouldn't be. But of course, Brittany would love to have been pregnant. Brittany would have been embracing it and been totally okay with it. But then the reveal to Jax is funny, but he has the nerve to be like, I'm kind of disappointed. Like, asshole, you treat her like shit. You basically hate her at this point because she's not just forgiving you and letting it go, even though she basically is, to be honest. She totally is, actually. But then Brittany's like, I think he'd be a good dad. Okay. All righty. Moving on. We're moving on. It's just there's so many things we could connect. It's just like, how'd that go? How'd that work out? Okay, so now, though, Stassi has been asked by Lala to plan her music event. What producer thought of this one? What producer was like, oh, and then for her music event, we can have Stassi plan it because then it connects the two of them. They're starting to get closer. Like, so that's okay. Okay. In Vegas, that robot bar was crazy. I completely forget about that every time it comes on. Is that still a thing? I didn't see it in Vegas, but I didn't really go looking when I was there last. That's nuts. But this first night in Vegas, not so bad. The Toms are in bed by 2 a.m., wake up at 9:15. Tom Sandoval goes, I swear we're the only ones up in Vegas right now. Ariana says, no, Jax is probably awake. And then they cut over to Jax and Brittany getting in bed. I can't tell if they were really awake and going to bed at that time or if they just wanted it to look like that because it's 9. They're awake at 9:15. Jax and Brittany are going to bed at 9:15. Oh my God. Oh my God. Just stay up. Just stay up. That's just, oof, man. So they go to this meeting with Ken and Lisa, and I think they're just kind of looking at glassware and sort of the easier stuff. And it goes off without a hitch. And Lisa's like, look at these boys. Maybe they can do something right after all. I will say that as good as it is to see them be responsible, they have to fuck it up for the show, for the sake of the show. We'll get into that. Before that happens, though, James is doing his photo shoot. And this is where he throws Lala in Rachel's face and is like, oh, what? Last time she poured champagne on me. What? I just said it. He even goes like, I just said you poured champagne on me. What? Oh, it's creepy. But James asks, this is the part that's kind of interesting. James asks if Rand will be at Lala's show. And she goes, what do you think? And he's like, I mean, I just thought he would be there to support you. No, he's working on real life stuff. And that was what she was telling everybody all the time. Like, this is grown up shit, okay? Like real life stuff. And James calls out in his confessional, like, oh, what, some weird meeting at Mastro's and having a steak? Like, shut up. Go support your girlfriend. But, he couldn't because he was lying about everything. And she was more than happy to believe him. Okay, back in Vegas, though, it's Tom's birthday. So, like I said, they had to be messes for one of these meetings in the morning for the show. Honestly, a producer would have been so disappointed if they hadn't done it. Like give Lisa the opportunity to make fun of you. And they kind of set this up. They honestly kind of did. They set up the Toms to look like idiots at least once. So I kind of don't. The problem, though, is that we'll get to it. So before they go out and are hungover the next day, the Toms, Katie and Ariana, get to go to a whole VIP dinner that Jax and Brittany are not invited to. And Brittany's all, do you want to go to Hooters? Of course he says yes. But then, okay, so cut to the next morning. They're at Caesars, Lisa, Ken, Pandora, and Jason in a tasting room. This could not be more horrible for someone who is hungover and not fresh as a daisy, because they look so clean and it's so quiet and intimate. And I was like, these people are just so, it's perfect though, because then 10:20 a.m., the Toms are still in bed. Schwartz says, as soon as he wakes up, he goes, I'm going to have to take an Adderall or something. And that killed me. I'm like, no. It's like, it makes you weird. It makes you all jittery and, it's hard. They're drinking Fireball before they walk in. And as much as Lisa hates them on this whole thing, She also needed this to happen for the show. It's good TV. It would have been boring if it was 2 morning meetings with Lisa and Ken and they were fine, you know? And they are horrendous. The Toms are horrendous. And Lisa does rightfully want to murder them. But at one point, Schwartz has to tell Tom, like, we got to calm down. Because, like, we keep getting sent away. Like, go stand over there, literally. And he's like, we're half drunk. Like, chill out. And Tom Sandoval's like, they're making decisions over there, though, man. Dude, learn when to tap out. Learn. Okay, fine, because someone has to. Okay, not the people who were up till 4 a.m. All right, so stop, sir. He doesn't know when to stop. Schwartz knew his place, not Sandoval, obviously. Okay, episode 14. We got Andros, James's dad, in town. This man is a jump scare, I tell you. I would not want to see this man in an alleyway late at night, okay? He freaks me out, not just the way he looks, but his whole energy. It is a dark, sinister energy. I don't enjoy it. But him going London gangsta is like a nightmare of mine. I can't stand it. His dad, Andros, managed George Michael, and apparently that was it. Because when George Michael and his dad had the falling out, that was it. Like, he had no other talent. So I don't even know what he did for George Michael. I'm sure George Michael had every reason to fire Andros. What the fuck was Andros even doing? Sorry. But now, and of course, now Andros comes into town and James has to pretend in front of his dad that he can drink and be cool because his dad's like, I don't get it when James isn't ordering a drink. Raquel is spiraling because they're at Sir for one of his DJ sets and she knows Lisa's showing up and she's like, you can't drink tonight, James. And he's like, not really listening to her because he's trying to be cool in front of his dad. And then he's like, no, I heard you. Okay, I won't. And Lisa shows up. And when Lisa says that she met Andros, like, on a plane back from somewhere, but then she says, but Ken knew Andros from the bar scene, which means that's what he did. He was like the guy that went out, did a bunch of blow and drank and woo in London because you can tell. And he never recovered. Okay, meanwhile, Brittany throws Jax a party at Hooters downtown. At first, I was like, downtown? My God, why? But then Brittany says, this is the one I worked at when I first moved here. I'm like, you went to the downtown location for Hooters? That's kind of scary. Downtown isn't the safest place to be in those Hooters outfits. But Scheana and Lala, this is like the hottest they've ever looked to me. Like, I think of these looks on both of them, the hair, the makeup. I love this look on them. I love the length of Sheena's hair on her. I love the style. They look fucking hot. The makeup is on point. The work is, they should have stopped, before it went a little too far. But like, yes, they looked really good. But Brittany does a confessional where she's like, I know some people are like, why are you being so nice to Jax? But my mom told me that if I'm going to be in this relationship, I'm going to be in it. And you're like, okay, sure, there's a difference. Okay. But Scheana pulls Jax to talk about the Rob thing. And she's like, okay, so I heard what you said. Whatever, it's not true. And Jax goes, well, is he saying I love you yet? And Scheana goes, of course. And then she goes, I mean, eventually we're going to get married. I mean, yeah, maybe slower than I want. And then for some reason, Jax is like, that's it. That's it right there. You just said it. I'm like, she said what? That it's moving slower? I don't know what that proved with your point. I don't know what you're trying to. But then Scheana can't even finish her sentence because Jax is like, that's it. His eyes are all bugging out of his head. So Scheana just leaves. She's like, happy birthday, motherfucker, or something like that, and literally leaves the event. Hands her mic pack over and is like, yeah, bye-bye. He's not getting any more camera time from me. So then back in I don't know, but they're in LA. Back in West Hollywood, I guess, Billy hangs out with Stassi and Kristen, and she tells them about Jeremy asking her on a date. Stassi's like, oh my God, he was really creeping me out. And I just gave me like a sick feeling in my stomach. The flash that they show us, like the little bit of footage that they do show us of these allegations, I'm down to drag Jeremy because now we know Jeremy's not necessarily the best, but I don't get like predatory energy from him. It looks like he's just, maybe they think he's not cool. Like that's what it looked like. Like Stassi's like, leave me alone. And it's like, isn't he just dancing? But I don't want to discredit what these people feel. But then you've got like Scheana and Lala who also know him and don't even have that impression at all of him. And I don't know, I can see the Stassi and that crew just being kind of bitches about, especially because it's Ariana's brother. And it's like, he's fucking weird. He's fucking so weird. And so I'm having a tough time. I'm having a tough time thinking and believing that he's this big old creep and predatory, maybe weird, maybe like awkward, maybe drunk. But I also don't want to discredit the people. I don't want to support women, as Katie will throw in Ariana's face later. Kristen tries to like, I don't know, loop it back to something relevant and not just them talking shit. Kristen's like, I just want to make sure that like he's not just trying to fuck you, you know? And Billy's like, I wouldn't mind that. Like he's more than welcome to. They're like, oh, well then maybe that's okay. So I don't know. We'll get further into it. Scheana and Brittany get lunch, and Scheana asks, how are you and Jax? And Brittany's like, we're actually good. We're good. It's doing Reiki. And it's like, I see it's better. We're happy. Da, da, da. And Scheana goes, yeah, you seem happier, but I want you to be this happy because I'm me and Rob. Like, I just know he's my person. He's my person. Ugh. Then she brings up Adam. And then in her confessional, when she goes, Jax is going to kill me. I'm like, oh, see, keep this energy. If you kept this energy, I would be here for it. But you can't keep the energy because then you act like you weren't doing that when people call you out on it. So just keep it. But she's like, oh, Jax is going to kill me for this. And then when Jax calls her out, she's like, I didn't do that. No, I didn't. Okay, so now it's time for Billy's date with Jeremy, and Lala brings her over to Sheena's to look for clothes to wear, I guess. That was weird. I'm like, are you in the same size? But Billy tells them what Stassi and Kristen said, and how like, oh, they're like, he tries to date everyone. And Lala and Scheana are like, he's never tried to date me, never tried to date me. And that is valid. And it's like, we've been around him a bunch. We don't get that impression. But then, okay, Billy tries on Sheena's clothes and she goes with this romper. And I'm like, why? Why that? It doesn't really fit her. I don't know. This is weird. But it is sweet. Lala actually goes with Billy to the date and waits for Jeremy to get there. And I fast forward once Jeremy got there. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Skip. Hello, She's Speaking listeners. This episode is proudly brought to you by Lola V, Jennifer Aniston's award-winning hair care line. And that queen knows hair. I've been using Lola V like my life depends on it. My hair is still recovering from a year ago when I decided to double bleach it. Never again. First, let's talk ingredients. The ingredients in Lola V are all about the naturally derived plant-based goodness. No silicones, no sulfates, no parabens, or gluten, and of course, cruelty-free and vegan. But the in-shower trio of the restorative shampoo and conditioner and intensive repair treatment, vital. I use the intensive repair treatment once a week. I use the restorative shampoo and conditioner every day. Every day. I have to wash my hair every day right now. It's a whole thing, guys. But the post-shower products, the glossing detangler, everything. The perfecting leave-in conditioner and the lightweight hair oil is the best hair oil I can get. See, I have a lot of thin hair, so it gets weighed down very easily, but it's also frizzy. Such a lovely combination. But the lightweight hair oil is legitimately lightweight. It's like a feather. does not weigh my hair down. Gives it a nice little gloss, and it protects it from heat damage. That's the thing I've been really relying on. It's not only repairing damage, but preventing damage as well, protecting the hair. Unlock Jennifer Anniston-approved hair at lolav.com. As our loyal listeners, you'll get 15% off your entire order when you use code SheSpeaks15 at checkout. That's 15% off your order at LOLAVIE.com with promo code SheSpeaks15. Please note you can only use one promo code per order and discounts can't be combined. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support the show and tell them we sent you. Your hair will thank you. James, though, gets drinks with his dad. And we get to hear just the downfall of his dad through James's eyes. And it's so sad because James is telling it from a kid perspective and it's so out of his control. Like they lose the big house, go down to the chic apartment, lose the apartment, then we're living on top of a pub. And clearly he's not even trying to bring in business. James says he's still doing music. He's still managing. Who is he managing? That is bizarre. That is fucking weird. Okay, now we're at Sir. Lisa stops by to do one of her, fake scenes where she checks on people. And Ariana tells her that she's got to go to girls' night and how she's not happy about it because of what Stassi and Kristen said about Jeremy. And Lisa's like, that man saved my restaurant. And Lisa goes over, she only gives him a couple $100. I'm like, ma'am, you could have given him 1,000 at least. But in Lisa's confessional, she goes, I think I misjudged Jeremy. And I'm just interested by what she means by that. Like, did she tell someone something about Jeremy? I don't even, was she saying? I don't know why she felt the need to tell us that she misjudged him. Because that man saved her fucking restaurant. I still cannot believe that. He used a fire extinguisher to hold it at bay. That's crazy. That is nuts. Okay, girls' night. Some of them are fresh off laser treatment. Okay, I've heard nothing but horror stories about how painful this is. Scheana didn't even flinch. That was, we need to talk about that. Okay, that I've heard, literally, I had a friend who bought packages, like you buy the package, right? Because you have to go a certain number of sessions. And she said it was so painful that she's like, I'm basically paying them $800 to traumatize me one time and they can keep the profit. That's it. Thank you for the trauma. I'm out. She wouldn't go back. It was so painful. Scheana didn't even feel it. Didn't even feel it. That was nuts. How did they film this? These women were totally cooter out on these cameras, like with these cameramen. Like, no wonder they get close to the crew. Like, the crew is up. I always think about that when they go to these doctor appointments. I'm like, a person is in there. A person's in there capturing this. Like, it's a cooter. Like, all of them. All right. Lala brings up the Jeremy thing. And Katie quietly says, I think we should talk about the wedding thing. And then Scheana abruptly leaves. That's the order in which it happened. And I kind of was like, well, Ariana might feel good having you there with her, Scheana. But she's like, I have to go. I just have to go. I just have to go. But then Katie tells Ariana that Jeremy was predatory and maybe be an advocate for those who can't advocate for themselves. I don't know how Ariana kept her shit together because that's and they were just doing so well in Vegas when it was just them and Brittany. Ariana goes, oh, okay, so now I don't support women. And then Katie goes, I think you misheard me. I mean, did I stutter? See, Katie, you were such a bitch. You were such a bitch. And then Ariana's like, Lala starts walking over to Ariana as she says, this isn't like my group of friends that I even wanted to hang out with in the first place. And then Lala grabs her face. But Katie's like, I know we're not your friends, Ariana. You tell us all the time. I'm like, well, how do you also act like maybe you're not. So that's also a thing. And Brittany, I don't know what Brittany means by this. She goes, no, they're not doing that to you, honey. They're not, to Ariana. They're not doing that to you, honey. I promise. Not doing what? Like they are, you guys, this is serious to talk about this. You've never talked about it to Ariana before. And now you've brought it up like without her there. And now again with her, but just calling him predatory. Do I kind of wish that Ariana had said, what happened? Give me the story, because that's not his nature that I know him to be. But it's also, this is on camera. And I think that's the fear, is that like, this is going to be on the show for my brother. That must be kind of paralyzing to some degree. Ariana just whispers to Lala, they're about to go to a place that they will never come back from. And then she just leaves and is like, bye, bye. And then Stassi's like, oh, so Ariana can say something about me and it's the truth. But then when we say something about her brother, it's not true. So, which is kind of true, but also you did say those things. Well, I guess Jeremy did technically make them uncomfortable. This just never gets investigated. This just gets dropped. It's never brought up. Everyone's fine. So I guess I don't need to worry about it too much. Meanwhile, or not meanwhile, but next, Brittany has gotten Jax an electric drum kit for his birthday. So she throws him a party at Hooters, gets him an electric drum kit, and plans a Mexico trip. It's like, I get it, forgive him, but this is like, you're literally teaching him that he can do bad things and get rewarded. Like, it's like a dog. Like, you've taught, like, you're giving him treats after that. And it's not even like just the cheating happened and he's so sorry. He's not even really sorry. He won't give it to you on camera. But okay, Tom Sandoval, though, he is all fired up about the Jeremy stuff. And he busts in on the witches of WeHo, who are like just trying to make what were they making? Candles or perfume or something? And he's like, hey, so he's all sweaty. Heard you guys talking about Jeremy, huh? And Stassi's like, why would I make that up? Which is fair, I guess. But he goes, because it's convenient. What? Because it's convenient. That doesn't even make sense. But like Tom goes, he takes it to a crazy place. He's like, you better watch yourself. You better watch yourself. You better watch yourself. It's the least threatening he's ever been, even though he thinks he's being so threatening. He's like, if you keep telling lies, I'm going to be telling truths about you. Okay. They're like, bye-bye, get out. But I guess you could consider him like having Ariana's back in this sort of a thing. No. Brittany calls her dad. Brittany hadn't told her dad up until this point. Thank you for showing it on camera. I appreciate that, Brittany. And her dad's like, I'm not surprised. That man has no character. He's disgusting. I can't believe your mom encouraged you to date him. But they finish the conversation. Jax comes out. And Brittany tells it like, he's like, I heard a little bit of that conversation. She's like, yeah, he said he wasn't surprised. And then Jax's confessional is this. I'm not mad that Brittany told her dad. I'm more mad that she's airing out our dirty laundry. Well, but telling her dad, those don't equate. Telling her dad about something that happened to her isn't airing out. You're also on a show and like it's everywhere. So what? But then Brittany gets choked up telling Jax, like, it's just really, really hard to tell my family. It's just really, really hard. And Jax goes, okay. Brittany goes, so you have to promise that you'll never do anything like this again. He goes, of course I won't. You're not perfect either. Okay. Oh, so there's things you can work on. Sir. He's like, there's a reason they called you Brittany, okay? You get moody or like you snap at me. And Brittany's like, oh, I mean, I know. And he goes, so just own it. Okay. Just own it. She has. But this is not, she's like, I would never cheat on you. And he's like, oh, okay, well, like that's the one thing I did that you don't do. What? And then she goes, but the way you talk to me isn't okay either. And he goes, you just never stop. You just keep going. And she goes, I just don't know why you're not more loving. And he goes, I am loving. I'm not that kind of person. I don't do that. And Brittany's like, you know, this is hard for me, right? And he says, Yeah, but don't you want to live your life and be happy? If you're not happy, then maybe you need to move on. So these are the moments where she should have been like, okay, this isn't working. Instead, she's like, all right, this Mexico trip is definitely on. Girl. Okay, so then now Scheana, Brittany, Lala, Ariana, Billy, Jeremy, and Adam go to get drinks. And Scheana is attempting to be like, isn't she so hot? Right, Adam? Like, but you can already get hints of Sheena's crush on him. You could just get there's tone to it. And she's with Rob, let's not forget. She's with Rob. And even Brittany later talks, she says when they ask, like, do you think she was trying to hook Adam up with you because she liked Adam? Brittany's like, yeah, I thought about it. So even Brittany knew. But the whole point of this is for Scheana to pull Brittany aside to be insane, basically. And she's like, you're the best person ever. And he is not giving it to you. And Brittany just starts crying. They've had a lot of tequila. She just starts crying and she goes, but I love him. Scheana is fully projecting here. And she goes, so because you did that for the last 2 years, you want to spend the rest of your life being like, well, I moved out here for this guy and I did all this stuff for him and I love him. Like, do you want to be me, 32, divorced, no kids, no progress? And you're like, cool, now I'm 32 and I just have to start over. Brittany's like, wait, how does this relate to Jax? Okay. Scheana really does make it all about her. And this is the season she starts joking how she's like, not to make it about me, like I like to do, but she's starting to do this. It's like, but you really do. But you really do make it all about you. It's like you come right back to yourself. And and then Brittany's like comforting Scheana. That's not really what happened, but Scheana starts crying, like, do you want to be me, divorced? Brittany's like, there. Was this about me? No, it wasn't. It was about Scheana. Anyhow. All right, next is the Mexico trip. I'm so excited. Let's get to Mexico, okay? I'll see you guys next week. Love you, mean it. Thanks for tuning in to She's Speaking with Emily Hanks. This show is produced, hosted, and edited by me, Emily, and brought to you in partnership with Cloud 10 Media. If you are looking for bonus content, check out the Patreon. The link is in the description. To show some support, you can hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Another free way to support the pod, please rate and/or review on whatever platform you listen. It's free, and it helps the algorithm or something. You can also head to buymeacoffee.com/shespeaks and buy me a coffee or two. Make sure you're following me on all social medias. I am She's Speaking with Emily Hanks across all platforms: Threads, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. That's it. Thank you guys. See you soon.